Welcome to Carrying Wayward, a supernatural podcast for fans who aren't ready to let go and newcomers to the series who are ready to jump in. I'm Marie Vigourou.
And I'm Drew Schulman. In this episode, we're diving into Supernatural Season 9, Episode 8, Rock in a Hard Place. Let's get this show on the road.
And in the weird timeline in which we are, it is Halloween for everybody.
Super honest. I saw that in our notes and I'm like, what are you like? Is this a Halloween episode? Did I forget? And then I scrolled up to release date. Oh, yeah.
Drew's like, so I think we need to talk about your mental health, Mary.
That or I was going to say judge your ability to read a calendar, but we all know that's my issue.
Well, I mean, listen, I think we all have issues with calendars, but yeah. So technically, it's still June here. You know, we've been recording all of these in June. It's still Pride Month for us, but when everybody's going to be able to listen to this, it's going to be Halloween, and it's kind of sort of a dragon episode, so I guess it's good timing.
Yeah, I forgot there is that kind of weird like potential of it being a dragon before it's revealed not to be.
I know. You know what? Every time I see the title of this episode, I'm like, oh yeah, it's the dragon episode, but it's not at all a dragon episode. Like it has nothing to do with
I had
it.
a moment too where like I was like, what was the villain of this episode again? I had to okay, it's like a specific cultural character type thing.
I would have loved dragons again.
You know what? I love dragons. I consider myself a bit of a dragon. And I think my favorite thing as a Dragon 2 horde is supporters on Patreon and Coffee who support us. So if you have a few extra bucks and want to join our Dragons horde of friends, I'd like to throw a little bit of change our way every month. It wouldn't hurt to head on over to carryingwayford.com.
That was a killer segue. Congratulations. And while I still am trying to reel from the segue, I suppose it's time for me to ask, are we ready for the recap?
Count me down.
All right, 3, 2, 1, not dragons.
Nope, but it is Jody. Yay, a Jody episode. And like she's kind of like she's not a hunter, but she's like more aware of what's going on now, unfortunately. So like calls the boys in right away to these weird, mysterious disappearances and someone lifting a car. So she's like, yeah, something's fishy here. This isn't my usual, deal. Someone is collecting people who break their pledge to the church, a pledge of chastity, which Sam and Dean decide they need to take to get into this exclusive club. So this is Dean's second re-virginization, I believe. God, I can't believe I'm saying that. He ends up breaking that pledge with someone from the group, which is a weird connection we're going to talk about, I'm sure. They get kidnapped. They get saved. Jody actually saves the day. Awesome. Another thing tells Sam, something's wrong with you, buddy. And Dean almost cracks time.
This episode was written by Jenny Klein, directed by John McCarthy, and it originally aired on November 26th, 2013. Yeah, there's a lot to dig into this episode, and it kind of throws us a really, really big curveball at the end. So I suppose we're going to be talking about that too. Like you said, it's a Jody episode. It's also the virginity pledge episode, so you can be sure that we're going to be talking about that. And of course, like you said, Dean makes the whole chastity group horny and ends up sleeping with the chastity group leader who was a porn star in a previous life.
I mean, like the holy grail of porn stars, according to Dean, it would seem.
It seems like that. Heterosexuality is so fucking weird, man. So Dean almost tells Sam about Zeke also at the end.
I was not ready for that. I was like, oh my God, like how do we do this? Like, what's happening? And then, yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of a big one.
This week, our theme is purity. I think purity is a very misleading word because on its surface, if we consider it from a scientific standpoint, it has a very clear and defined definition, freedom from anything that debases, contaminates, or pollutes. When we think of pure metals or materials like silicon used in the chips for manufacturing, purity matters and it's measured. However, we consider some of these elements as pure. There is still a threshold, though, like where pure can be applied. Like I mentioned silicon earlier. It's used in all of our electronics, and it needs to be as pure as possible. We call it 100% pure when it's not. It's nearly there, but it's not physically possible. So already we are making exceptions for this term, and that brings me to my point in this week's episode and this theme. When we consider the purity of someone, I think it's interpretive and must be as one's own view of purity is subjective.
Yeah, so I think that like in the very Christian context of supernatural, we can like really safely assume that purity is about like the absence of sin. And in this particular case, like we're talking about like the absence of sexual sin particularly, although I think that the theme does extend a little bit when it comes to Sam.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I like about this one is as much as we can put a label of what purity means to us. Like, again, even in the view of like the religious Christian view, it is subjective. Like, if we think about all the things the Bible says don't do or else you're sinning, that just kind of gets brushed aside because it's not a big deal, like shellfish or wearing mixed fabrics. But in this case, we are very much, yes, the purity here that is the key of this episode is the sexual purity.
Right.
So both Sam and Dean do sign the purity pledge. Bonnie makes a very big deal that it's more than just a piece of paper. It's the power of, that comes with from the belief of it.
Hmm.
And I don't feel as though either of them truly believe signing this will make them pure again. So at the end of the day, like it's almost like, I'm not going to say it's a moot point for the theme, but it's a moot point for the becoming pure by doing this,
Hmm.
which I think is a very interesting thought experiment when it comes to the monster of the week. But I digress. Sam does, however, take the cover story a bit more seriously and is quite honest when it comes to his sharing in the meeting. Like, he had a pretty poor streak with romantic partners, demon, werewolf, married with a husband who's thought to be KIA, who returns, obsessed fans making demon deals to marry him. Even the non-sexual relationships like Amy, the Kitsune, all seem to end pretty bad for Sam. I don't see Sam carrying on from this purity pledge in any serious matter. Like, he at least did use this time to reflect on his own relationships with romantic partners, but I don't think it's going to go beyond that, really.
Well, so I think one of the reasons why Sam takes the pledge maybe a little bit more seriously, or at least like appears to take it more seriously, is probably because of his existing relationship with the idea of purity, right? Like a few weeks ago, we talked about how he has felt unclean in the past with regard to having demon blood in him. And then obviously he was actively drinking demon blood, and then he was Lucifer's vessel. And so I think that maybe that purity pledge for Sam isn't so much about sexuality and virginity per se, but it's also about his blood. The thing is that part of the idea behind virginity is like keeping your body quote unquote pure. And I think that that's an idea that's very appealing to Sam, who is kind of like seeing his own body as impure from the demon blood and from having hosted Lucifer. Like he says at the end, maybe this is just the way I am. Maybe like I'm just kind of like basically he's like, maybe I'm just broken. Maybe I'm just impure. Maybe I'm wrong.
100%. And that comes to mind so clearly when he is, let's just say, probed internally by the Vesta.
Right.
Like, she goes as far as describing him as dead inside. And I think while we, the viewers, understand what that means contextually,
Hmm.
Sam doesn't dismiss it or think that it's wrong. He's just looking at the things that he already sees as impure within himself that would equate to this.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like basically, like Vesta manages to pinpoint exactly where Sam's insecurity about purity really is. Like she's just like pinpoint accuracy. Like think of it this way. Like Sam doesn't know that the thing keeping him alive is an angel right now, right? Like she
Mm-hmm.
talks about you're all duct tape and pins or something.
Yes, I like that term.
And the thing is like that's the angel that's holding him together. And so like what exactly is he supposed to make how exactly is he supposed to make sense of this essentially is my question, because like we know what's going on but like he doesn't, and so he's going to think that what's causing Vesta to see him this way, to see him as like you should be dead or you're almost dead or you should how are you alive, is because somehow he still has that impurity in him, that he is like now fundamentally changed from the things that he's done.
I love that you say like she manages to pinpoint this in him. And it clearly wasn't an intentional attack, but it feels like such a good attack on him.
Oh yeah.
But again, like I think this just plays so well into the fear that Sam already has about his pureness or being pure or being really just human, which is what he ultimately wants to be. That it just adds. It's like literally the vest is literally pouring kindling onto the what is about to be a fire when I assume eventually he finds out about Zeke and the whole angel thing.
Yeah, there you go. And that's interesting because that's also like the moment that Dean is like, I can't do this, right? Like when Sam is all like, oh, I maybe that's just the way that I am. Dean is like, no, no, I can't let you put this on you. And that's when he's about to tell him the truth, you know?
I was so convinced it was about to happen. I was like, what? I want to see the
Yeah.
results.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to see the results because it's probably going to be horrible, but I want the pressure over. I want it done with. I want to get past it.
I get that.
Eventually. I assume eventually. We're not going to go several seasons of this. I hope. Speaking of Dean, who again does not come clean at the end, but wants to. So we're seeing at least that he is learning from all this, that he's done the wrong thing in some way. But he's really enjoying this little game of re-virginization. Again, this is his third virginity, not a stat I thought I'd ever need to keep track of, in the show, let alone anywhere. I also feel as though some of what Dean says in the meeting is true to him. Like, yeah, it's mostly played for laughs as he gets everyone else, so that, hot and bothered, and with a slightly TMI description of a hookup. But like, the reality that seems to sink in as he considers the adios, as he puts it, always having to say goodbye, is when it's over, because none of them had any real attachment, or if they did, they still eventually did leave.
I'm actually so glad that you mentioned the adios thing because it's like, to me, the most important part of like what he's talking about, right? Like, because Dean's goodbyes with past love interests have been like really painful. Think about Cassie, Lisa, think about Robin, Benny, hello.
Yup.
Arguably Cass also, like when he said goodbye to him too. Like, and I it's just interesting that the thing that he seems like most upset about in all of this is the fact that he hasn't had a lasting relationship. Like he doesn't want the adios, right? Like it's particularly painful for him. And so maybe something that Dean actually really wants is a lasting relationship. And again, in the context of the last couple of episodes where we're kind of realizing that Dean doesn't really know himself, like maybe this is something that's actually telling him what he really wants.
Yeah. Again, it's a really heartfelt moment too when he has that realization. Like, and again, it's something I love that they've done a few times on the show and in media in general. The let's have that moment of realization kind of covered up by the fact that it's funny.
Hmm.
And like, I don't think it's done in a way where it's like, oh, we don't want to have a serious moment, so we're going to make a joke out of it. It's more that even though he's having fun, he is inadvertently making the realization like live in front of all these people when really he was just kind of having fun with it.
It honestly reminds me of like therapy when you're like trying not to have a realization and you're just making jokes with your therapist, and then you're like, ah, fuck.
Damn it, they did their job too
I
good. Shit.
know. I'm like, damn it. Anyway, yeah, it cannot relate to what Dean is going through right now, basically, is what I'm saying.
No, 100%. We're both totally off that one. Um, I don't think we get. I don't think we do get as clear an image of what purity means to Dean as we do with Sam. But I could not see a world in which Dean considers himself pure. Like, I do think, given how Dean talks about hunting and his role as a hunter, he sees the innocent world of those unaware of what goes on in the shadows as purity that he must protect. In Dean's eyes, the world outside of his is pure, and he is a part of the impure side, but doing his best to keep those two from mixing.
Well, so we've heard Dean say the word pure before, right? When talking about purgatory.
True.
So, yeah, with that in mind, again, if we consider like purity in the context of this episode anyway, if we consider like purity the absence of sin, and if we consider homosexuality a sin in the context again of like this born again kind of religion,
Hmm.
the way that so many like evangelical churches do in the US, then that's, I think, where Dean's relationship with purity actually comes in. Like, if John were to ever have found Dean with a boy when he was younger, like, what exactly do you think he would have said to him? And please don't answer that, Drew. Like, this is
Nope.
entirely rhetorical. Um, so I think that, like, Dean carries that with him as an adult as well. And that idea was also reinforced by, like, the angel that told him, like, the moment Cass laid eyes on you in hell, he was lost, right? And I don't think that, like, it's a leap to say that if Dean considers himself queer and considers queerness to be impure, then any person he touches with that queerness is also impure.
Oh, yeah, that is. Oh, and again, looking back and talking about how like the letting Cass go because Cass deserves better and he
Hmm.
could be doing better things if not for Dean. Like that just plays into it so much, and I hate it.
Yeah. And so now he's like in this phase where he's like like he just signed a vow of quote unquote purity, and so he sleeps with a woman.
Hmm.
There you go.
Oh, I don't like it.
I know I hate it too.
Take it back.
I can't. It's out there.
Ugh, damn it. Well, we'll move on to Jody for a little bit because we do have another character this week, which is always a bonus. A beloved character, mind you. I love that she's calling the brothers in instantly on this case after her past run-ins with Supernatural. She is accustomed to the impossible not being so impossible and more likely a case for the Winchesters. Like her worldview has shifted from an aforementioned purity of the world outside of the supernatural to now being, if not involved, at least aware of those fringes. Like in a response to this, she has returned to church, a place of belonging, a sense of peace or safety. Like her role is a sheriff. It is at its purest form, it's protection. Learning that the world is not the place she thought it once was has forced her into a position where not everything is as simple as it may have once been before this. Her return to church is just that simple and pure, a place where she knows what to expect and how to be a part of it.
So one thing that you just said that really hits me is that when her world was turned upside down by the supernatural, she did not actually go all John Winchester. Like she didn't leave everything, she didn't isolate herself. She actually reached out and grounded herself in her community, like through her role as sheriff and also through church and faith. And I'm not saying that Jody is like doing this perfectly or anything, right? Like at all. I think there's a lot to say about the nature of policing and born again Christianity. But the fact that she finds refuge in community when John found refuge in booze and abuse, like, I just think that there's something to be said about how these people have chosen to kind of like tackle these incredible challenges that was dealt to them.
Yeah, I think it shows again the dichotomy of like when that door is open and kind of like we joked earlier, like you said the thing, it's out in the world, you can't take it back anymore.
Hmm.
We've seen people learn about the supernatural, whether it be someone who they're saving from the monster of the week or someone who may stick around a bit longer. But this is the first time we're really getting to like kind of follow the narrative of someone learning about it and what they're going to do afterwards. So the fact that she, grounded herself in community, I think is a great way to put that. I love that like description of it
Hmm.
versus some of the other people we've seen who once they became aware of it just sort of went to the hunting life because it's all they knew anymore. Jody has been able to, I don't think separate the two necessarily, but been able to draw the line of like, I know where my limits are. And
Hmm.
if ever I come up against that line, I can call and reach out for help with certain people. And if it's before that line, it's more personal, more me. I have my community for that as well. She is compartmentalized. I can never say that word properly, but in a very healthy way.
Yeah, well, so I think that that's kind of the point that I'm getting to. It's the fact that, like, because I've heard people say, like, oh, John Winchester's reaction is normal. Like, he lost his wife. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course. Like, he lost his wife. Like, that's a huge fucking deal. Jody lost her husband and her son, and she's not out there abusing kids. You see what I mean? Like, it's not, it's Like, I guess what I'm trying to get to is that John Winchester's reaction was not a quote unquote normal reaction. Like, it just
No,
wasn't.
no. Like, I mean, if everyone who lost a loved one acted the way John did, there would not be a planet Earth anymore, I'm pretty sure. Supernatural or not, I'm just saying.
Fair enough.
Um, to move on to my thoughts a bit about this week's story and where we're going, I mean, chalk another one up for a monster of the week, literally pulling out the whiteboard with a single red string on it between a note reading something's fishy and a photo of Sam, likely a photo of him being bonked in the head. That poor moose is so close. Like, he's holding the square peg over the square hole. Like, come on, man, you could do this.
Oh, Sam, Sam.
And I do love the idea of Jody like facing maybe some like minor monster related things or having to like cover something up, like getting called to a campground for a bear attack and immediately recognizing the signs of something like that's Dean and Sam had mentioned once over a beer one evening, and then like spending a day or two trying to like convince other officers like to let it go. It was just some bear and not to go digging deeper because she doesn't want them wandering into like a Wendigo nest or something. And hey, I'll take more Jody any day, assuming she survives.
That is excellent news, what you just said. I'm very happy to hear that.
Good, more Jody, please.
I'm very excited to hear that.
I'm also, and again, it's hinted at briefly in the episode, like it's mentioned almost in passing, is the Crowley of it all with Jody. And, you know, I'm happy, at least for our first real Jody episode post all of this, she doesn't have to face him or really even talk about it much besides just acknowledging it happened. And I hope that she never really does have to. Like, again, maybe a humanity restored Crowley atoning for his sins and apologizing to Jody could be an interesting subplot eventually down the line when we're all ready for it, especially Jody. But I'm very much of two minds of like, I don't want Jody to have to go through that, but I also kind of want to see the, not in like a gross way, but like I want to see like how humanity affects Crowley when it comes to facing a victim like that.
Ooh, that's interesting. Well, do we, I'm like, I can't remember.
I mean, I would not be shocked if at some point, assuming one, we do get a Crowley goes humanity mode, like I'm predicting and want. I cannot imagine that in X number of remaining seasons, I can't do the math right now, 6.5?
Yes.
We're on 9, there's 15, so yeah, 6.5 seasons. Okay, I do my math. I'm math
I'm
good.
like, yes.
I can count to 10. I would be shocked if we do not have at least an interaction between a humanized Crowley, assuming we get one, and someone he has wronged in the past and how that may go. Heck, even just another hunter who he can like be like sure he screwed with at some point.
It's pretty impossible to do an episode about born again virgins through the theme of purity without at least trying to deconstruct the idea or the concept of purity a little bit. So we talked about it without much cultural context in story time, but I think it would be a real mistake not to address this in more depth in critical time. So I do want to start here with a little bit of etymology. The word purity is derived from the word pure, which interestingly, given what you started us off with, Drew, actually was a Latin word that was used to describe unalloyed gold, so pure gold. But within about like 500 years, it became a synonym for words like unmixed, unadulterated, complete, and as we know, virgin and chaste. And I just need us to think about that for a second, because like you said, like talking about a metal as pure or unalloyed, sorry, is one thing, but to talk about a person that way, like it just feels a lot more icky. So let's follow that train of thought for a second. So if we think about human purity, sorry, as virginity and chastity, why is that important, particularly before marriage, right? And particularly for women, might I add? Because in evangelical Christianity, it's not teen boys that are given purity rings, right? Like even in that particular episode, like it wasn't men who were around the table or like at the support group, it was all women and then Sam and Dean faking their way into this space. Right. This is about women. And I like, again, like, because I've looked a little bit at like who can wear purity rings. Like I started looking into that. And I don't care what it says on paper, right? Because there are people are companies that make these rings are like, these are made for boys and girls. Like the reality is that it's the girls who actually wear them. So why is it important for teen girls to remain pure before marriage? And the answer to that is patriarchy and patrilineage. So the idea of marrying a woman who has been with no other man is very appealing to the men in these communities. And the way to ensure that your future wife is like a quote unquote high value woman, that she is complete, that she is unadulterated, or even unmixed. Dude, I am like vomiting a little bit inside of my mouth, but this is what's going on, okay? Is to basically have her preserve her virginity until marriage. And this doesn't exclusively happen in evangelical or even more broadly like religious spaces, to be clear. Like the idea of like a high value woman, like that's from the incels, right? Like because women who have led or who have had, sorry, sexual partners in the past are considered to be low value. They're considered to be incomplete, basically damaged goods. And again, many communities perpetuate these ideas. Like think about like the hippity dippity yoga accounts on social media that are telling like all the boss babes around to be careful who they sleep with because then, you know, their energy mixes with their partners. And so they carry a piece of that energy forever. Like that is complete bullshit, right? Like women are not tarnished by the people that they sleep with any more than men are, frankly. And of course, like I would be remiss to acknowledge that these ideas get even more troubling when a white woman sleeps with a black, brown, Asian, or indigenous man, and when a man sleeps with another man, because of course homosexuality is considered to be impure as well. And let's not even talk about lesbians because people never really know what to make of that. So we'll just put a pin in that. Um, so I would like for us to keep that in mind when we're talking about purity when it comes to human beings, that we're, you know, when we're talking about human beings being pure, what we're really doing is reinforcing white supremacy with all of its homophobia and all of its misogyny. Because, like, sexual purity really means playing by the rules of white supremacists' homophobic and misogynistic construct. And so when people equate sexual purity with moral purity, it's basically saying that white supremacy, homophobia, and misogyny are actually moral ideals. And so, my question for you and for the listeners this week is how do Sam and Dean's relationships to the concept of purity reflect or maybe challenge the show's deeper entanglement with patriarchal, white supremacist, and homophobic ideas about who gets to be good or clean?
First, may I just say, I too feel like I must throw up now. Thank you very much. Um, oh God, I hate everything about the subject, and I'm so against this whole purity bullshit thing. But you're right, the show does lean into it. Like it does show these other, and again, like you pointed out so astutely, only women at this meeting besides Sam and Dean as good characters. Like on paper, every single one of them is pure and good and decent. And also, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure they're all white.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. Like it's,
They're all young, white, and straight-sized, thin.
yeah. I feel like I, I don't think I would ever sit here and say I think the show is explicitly being white supremacist forward. Some of the moments like this kind of do make it hard to defend, but I don't think it was actively written in that sense.
I don't think it's actively written, but I think that this is an unassessed bias, right? Like it's
That's
something that
yes.
they're not thinking about and it's coming out. Like sometimes I think that like when you write fiction, there's the story that you think you're telling, but then there's the other story that you're not aware that you're telling, and this is the story that they're not aware they're telling.
Which is really interesting because I feel like your critical times for the last few episodes have kind of had that same theming, but in the reverse of like the thing that they're not saying is what we're all picking up on and enjoying, such as Dean's queerness and I mean, and that's been the majority of them, but still. So here we're almost seeing the reverse of that. It's they are championing these values without intending to. I feel like I'm saying the wrong words here. Like they are doing it. They're doing it intentionally, but I don't think they're doing it maliciously.
Well, so then the question becomes also when if we're going to be talking about intention here, because is it possible that this is a commentary on these things? I think so. I think it could very well be a commentary. I don't think that they're actually writing about purity and chastity. Like this, they're clearly making a joke out of it, right? So they're
True.
they're making light of it, and therefore it's a commentary. I think that there's something to be so that's kind of what I'm trying to say here. Like it's this is there. I'm not calling anybody names, but I'm just saying like, hey folks, like look at this
Hmm.
thing that I found by thinking about this. What do we think about it? Right? Like my goal is never to call people names, but hey, let's think about this for a second.
Yeah, and I think that's what I wanted to get to as a route to then answer the question as you put it properly. And I think I want to separate Sam and Dean for a second. So I think Sam's connection to purity in the show has been the line between being human and being not human. And I think in being here at this, in this episode at least, it's him seeing how purity can almost be too extreme. Like he still feels like he would be pure if he considered himself to be fully human, but these people in this meeting right now would not see him as pure because he's not their version of pure.
Hmm.
And I think for me as a viewer and for Sam, I think it's important because as I alluded to up at the top, is that purity is subjective. Like, yes, there's the Christian values and almost white supremacist style view of purity in women in this scenario, which we're both saying right now is bullshit. And I think Sam can see that. He can see that he doesn't need to go to that level of purity to be pure. He needs to go to his level of purity to be considered pure. Versus Dean, who we all know is hiding his queer nature. He is clearly not the white straight male he presents and masks constantly. But I don't think he sees a line to purity that he can achieve because he knows what he is and will hide it from the people he doesn't know because he feels like what he is isn't pure because of these types of ideals and values.
Mm.
It's because he grew up in a world where these types of, as you put it, white supremacist homophobia and misogyny were very much instilled in him. I'm not even going to say just by John, probably by John, in fact, guaranteed by John, but also just culturally, because it is unfortunately very common with white Christian America, and North America and all. I mean,
Yeah,
Canada
yeah,
still
yeah,
has
for
its
sure.
problems too.
Oh, yes.
That he knows he has basically been taught from at a point that what is the bare minimum to be pure. And one of those big glaring red marks on your report card is being queer. And he knows what he is, and that is impure according to
Hmm.
their standards, which is, again, horseshit. I rest my case.
This week, we have a message from Shaylee. And before we listen to it, we want to remind you to send us a 3-minute voicemail to respond to anything we discussed today or to ask us a question. You can use the recording app on your phone and email us the recording at carryingwayward@gmail.com.
Hello, Caring Wayward. I was just curious on your opinion on the show actually being revolved around Sam, period. There is a interview that recently came out with Jensen Ackles where he's basically like, well, Sam was the first one to be recorded for the show, so it makes sense it ends with Sam. And I'm sorry if that has spoilers, because I know Drew hasn't seen the whole thing, but I was just curious what your take on that was.
Shaylee, I'm intrigued by the question. I'm intrigued by the I will say not a spoiler. I think it raises questions but doesn't spoil me because I know so much about the ending from cultural osmosis, and I know it has a lot of Cass and Dean implications that I generally never even thought, what does the end of the show mean for Sam? Like, does he survive the finale? I have no idea. Anyways, I digress. What I want to get back
Shaylee,
to.
I think your question has been answered. So what did we learn today?
No, but
Drew has never wondered how the show ends for Sam. I think that answers your question.
I think that says more than anything else I can ever say. But I do want to say, because I feel like, especially this season, like, again, I think it's so bizarre how, like, if I were to, like, just describe this season to somebody, bare bones of just like the major mile markers we've had up until now, at least, and even the past seasons, Sam is so much more of the moving the plot forward character. He is so much more like, I think if I were to show the show to somebody, like, sped up, super bare bones, like, just the highlights, you would assume Sam to be the main character, with Dean being the sidekick almost, I think. But despite that, the show gives so much more development and room for Dean to be. And to, I think, just by the nature of the type of character he is, the fact that there is this underlying queerness to him that is never explicitly stated, he is much more a mysterious figure that is worth digging into. Whereas Sam, more often than not, is a little bit more on the surface. Like, there's no monster of the week turning to Dean saying there's something wrong with you, implying that his being queer is something that they are aware of. But we have a creature reach into Sam's body and go, ooh, you're just a bunch of duct tape and pins being held together by something mysterious, you weird freak. Like, it's splayed out a little more. So I feel like we as a podcasting duo don't dive into him as often as we do Dean. And again, there's some great Sam episodes. The clown one whose title is not written in front of me, so I can't say it properly. Dr. Parnassus's plethora of clown houses or something.
Oh God.
One of these days. I had it open last time. I cheated. This is why I have no hints. I didn't know I would need it today. I just need it, like, written on a post-it on my computer with all their passwords.
Winkles, Pluckery's Menagerie or something.
Some periwinkle menagerie of puce. I don't know. Again, my point being, there is some good Sam content out there. I'm not saying the show ignores him completely, but I feel like it almost defaults to Sam is the move the plot forward. Dean is the, ooh, let's discuss what's going on because there's implications based on actions and information we're learning about, more often than not. So, yeah, all that to say, I think nothing's going to top off the way I started this stupid question answer. Sorry, not stupid question, stupid answer to a good question. I never even considered where to Sam end his series. All I've ever known is the finale is heartbreakingly Dean and Cass, and there's so much controversy around it. Never did it occur to me what happens to Sam.
I just, oh my God. Okay, Shaylee, first of all, that's a really great question. I feel like I've talked about this before with JJ from JJB Waywatch. I'm not sure what he's up to lately. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but um, I think he describes it similarly to you, Drew, where he says that the thing with Sam, it's that, like, he is, like, action oriented. He is the center of the plot. Especially in the first few seasons, right? Like, I would say definitely the first 5 seasons, and then less and less as we go. However, we're still kind of in that, like, Sam moving the plot forward thing. By the way, Drew, spoiler alert, next season, no more Sam. Like, Sam is given absolutely nothing. You'll see, like, that's kind of the joke in certain parts of the fandom, that, like, basically in the last few seasons, like, Sam is just there. Like, he's just there.
Genuinely, the way you said that, I thought you were implying he just isn't there physically. And I was
no,
like,
no.
But then I had a moment of like, I have no evidence to the contrary. You're right, though.
That's really
like, there's
funny.
no, you could tell me this is his last episode and I have no way to disprove that.
That's true. So yeah, so it's, whereas, like, Dean's interactions with the show are very much like internal struggles, right? Like, so Sam has external struggles and Dean has internal struggles. And the thing is, they gave the internal struggles to an actor like Jensen Ackles. Um, and I'm not saying that Jared Padalecki is not a good actor, But Jensen Ackles plays a really good Dean, is what I'm saying. And he plays the internal struggle extremely well, um, with all of his jacting Joyces. And so I think that like eventually it sort of becomes a thing where like the fans love it so much that they demand more, and so there's like a lot of crowd pleasing going on, and I guess it must be fun also to write for an actor who like enjoys playing that, right? So I think that there's like a lot of reasons. Does the show end revolving around Sam? I mean, I don't know. I don't think so. I really don't think so. Unfortunately, I do wish that actually, oh, Fluffy has a lot of feelings about this, but I do wish Fluffy's like, I'm a Sam girl, bitch.
Oh, they would be.
But I do wish that like they had given him more plot. Like there are some things that happen in the later seasons where I'm just like, this, if you had just done this instead of that for Sam, like I would have been so happy. Because you all know how much I love Sam, right? Like, anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you very
again,
much for this question.
thank you for a lovely one. This was a real eye opener. I'm gonna have to really consider my view of Sam more going forward. Thank you, Shaylee. Oh, we come to the end of our show, and I get to ask, what did we learn this week?
Well, I don't know, but I really do feel called to like question some things or ideas that like exist in society, and to come back to last week's theme, I suppose, to like try to make my own decision about those and what feels right to me.
Yes. Set your own goals. Measure yourself against your standards. Yes.
Yeah. What about you, Drew? What did you learn?
Well, on the same train, it's easy to measure ourselves by comparison against others. But like this episode's theme of purity, a lot of these metrics are subjective. You know, one's intelligence may vary from another based on education, environment, and other conditions we may never consider. Does a Harvard grad 100% of the time outsmart a community college grad? Certainly not. You know, we set our own goals, we reach our own milestones, and that's just fine.
This was Carrying Wayward, a supernatural podcast produced by Rochelle Castellano, hosted by Marie Vigourou
And Drew Schulman. Thank you to everyone supporting us on Ko-fi or Patreon,
including our bunker patrons, Jeremiah Thomas and Michelle.
We'd also like to thank Jake Lionheart for our music.
Head over to carryingwayward.com to become a patron or a Ko-fi subscriber, and for our merch store and our socials. And write us a review on Apple Podcasts.
Carry on our wayward friends.